Thanks. And now to those deadly floods in Texas. Residents are trying to pick up the pieces today, a day after the water rose fast and furious. NBC's Don Teague is in hard-hit Haltom City, Texas. Don, good morning to you.
Good morning, Meredith. Today you can really see the power of the floodwaters that poured through this mobile home community. The house you see behind me used to sit about a block away from here. It didn't stop until it slammed into the oak tree you see behind me. Those floodwaters in North Texas took a terrible toll. This morning there are 5 people confirmed dead and 5 still missing.
We have counted at least 6 houses with people sitting on the roof waiting to be rescued.
It rained so hard in North Texas, the water simply had nowhere to go. Up to 10 inches of rain fell Monday in just a few hours. In Haltom City near Fort Worth, 4 feet of water from a nearby creek poured through a mobile home park.
I've never seen it up to here.
The water rose so fast, Sam Gerald couldn't get his family out of the house. The floodwaters carried their mobile home with them in it, more than 200 yards.
The water was getting like higher and higher and we were spinning.
Just down the street, Natasha Collins escaped her flooded home by boat. She was holding her 4-year-old daughter when the boat capsized.
The current got so hard and I was holding on to her and it just took her away from me.
Her daughter drowned.
We've got a lot of rescues underway here.
About 60 miles north of Dallas in Gainesville, Texas, fast-moving water flooded scores of homes and businesses. Rescuers used boats, hovercraft, even construction equipment to save hundreds. Some had cut holes in their rooftops to get above the water. But a 60-year-old woman and her 2 grandchildren were in this house when the water rose.
This mobile home that's up against the bridge actually went into the floodwaters, was carried downstream, and was smashed against the bridge.
Today, hundreds are sleeping in shelters. Many, like Diane Garcia, who held onto a tree until help arrived, are just happy to be alive.
A couple times I almost let go because it's so hard. All I can think about is my family, my kids.
This family waited hours for a rescue boat, but were forced to leave their dog on the roof. He too was finally coaxed to safety. In nearby Tom Bean, Texas, Dave Oakes needed no coaxing. He and Brandon Beck were clinging to trees. The roaring water a danger even for rescuers, who managed to save both men. Well, the search and cleanup efforts are underway today. The bright spot here is the forecast. The flooded areas only expecting a slight chance of rain today. Meredith?
Don Teague, thanks very much. We're going to head about 80 miles northeast now from Haltom City to Tom Bean, Texas. Dave Oakes was on his way to work with his dog Scruffy when his car got caught in the floodwaters. Volunteer fireman Brandon Beck raced to help them, but he was also trapped by the rushing currents. They hung onto a tree for hours before they were both fortunately rescued. Dave Oakes, Brandon Beck, good morning to both of you.
Good morning.
You have been through an absolutely terrible ordeal. Thank goodness you're both okay. You were at the hospital, since been released. How are you doing this morning?
I'm doing all right.
I'm good.
Dave, let me start with you. You're on your way to work with your dog Scruffy by your side, and you find yourself in a few inches of water, and from what I understand, you thought you could just back out and get away from it, and then something happened. Can you describe what happened?
Basically, the water was all calm, like a little puddle, and then all of a sudden, here comes this rushing water. Like they say, flash flood.
And you found yourself in how much water at that point, Dave?
When I first realized when it grabbed me, it was probably about maybe 1.5 feet, 2 feet deep.
You placed a call, I guess you called your son back in California to let him know you were in the flood, and you also called 911, is that correct?
Yeah, I called 911, and then I called my son. And I said, yeah, no, there's no big deal right now. I'm just kind of stuck in some water.
But boy...
And then I guess a little while after that, he saw the whole thing on the West Coast TV.
Yeah, it quickly turned into a big deal, Brandon, which is where you come in as a volunteer fireman. You were sent out with someone else to try to help Dave, and in a rescue boat of some sort, and then that tipped over?
Right. We went out in a personal watercraft to try to rescue Dave. once we got to him and got him and Scruffy on there, unfortunately we were hung up on part of the car and were unable to free ourselves because of the current and us being caught on the car. In the process of trying to free ourselves, the craft tipped over and all three of us went into the water at that point.
And one of the gentlemen who actually got back onto that vehicle was able to go and get more help, but the two of you ended up clinging to a tree for close to 4 hours. And Brandon, I know that during that time, your mission was to keep Dave talking. Why did you feel that was so important?
That's important in any rescue situation, to keep the victim, talking, keep them alert, keep them conscious. The mental game is part of survival. If I could keep him talking and just carry on several conversations, I knew that we would both be more there mentally and not so worried about, the outcome.
And I know, Dave, that even though you are okay today, your dog Scruffy, you were holding on to her, and at one point the current took her, and I know that now you are desperately trying to search for her, and so we hope that you do find her okay, and we're very glad that both of you are all right this morning. Dave Oakes, Brandon Beck, thank you both.
Thank you.
Unbelievable
Yeah.
story.